Hi guys, welcome to this video series where we will continue developing our SQL skills. So this is very beginner level and we are exploring the Northwind client database. If you don't have this database installed, just watch the previous video on how to install the database into your SQL Server Management Studio. It's very simple and straightforward. Alright, so I've expanded the tables folder and we can see all of the tables that has data stored for this client business. We have three topics. We are going to explore writing SQL statements. We are going to then explore how to join multiple tables to get the answers to business questions and then conclude by learning how to filter data. We will use a combination of the select statement, joins, and where clauses to filter our data. So we have 5 questions over here, and let's start with the first one. The first one is saying, asking you to write a select statement to retrieve all the columns from the customer table. So this is the customer table here, and you can see the name is called dbo.customers. So the select statement will actually retrieve all columns for you. If you want to see all the columns, you use a select, you use an asterisk, and we use the from clause to point to the table name dbo.customers. SQL is case insensitive, so if you type this in capital letter or lowercase, you will get the result. So if I execute this, you can see over here we have 91 rows in the customers table, and these are all the columns in here in this table. So the select statement is used to fetch the columns. Asterisk will give you all columns, okay, and the from clause you point to the table of reference. All right, so question number 2 over here, where we only want to retrieve the company name and the city. Okay, these 2 columns is what we want to retrieve from the customers table. We use select this time around. Let me begin with the asterisk and then write the name of the table. Okay, dbo.customers. Instead of the asterisk, I'm going to replace it with the column I want, company name. If I want to include another column, I press a comma, and the other column the question is asking for is city. The last column should not have a comma or a full stop. You just want to leave it the way it is. And if we highlight this code and execute, we will get the 2 columns extracted for the customer table. The next question is to write a query to return all the products sorted by unit price from highest to lowest. This question is referring to another table, and we have that table here called products. You can see it's plural products. So let's dive into that table where we use a select star from products. We want to see every column in the table. So this is all the columns. We have the product ID, the primary key, the product name, the supplier ID. This is a foreign key. Category ID, this is a foreign key, and we have the unit price. So this product chai is selling for 18, assuming it is dollars, $18, and the last product in the table, original frankfurter, is selling for $13. You can see the unit price column is sorted in disparate order. So the query is to write they extract the data to get the unit price from largest to smallest. So we want to see all products, but we want to sort the unit price by largest to smallest. So this is where you use the order by clause for sorting, and you type the name of the column you want to sort on, and this time around you conclude with writing the short form for descending, DESC. we have exactly the same table, but if you take a look at it now, the product ID is no longer starting from 1, 2, 3 because this is not the column of sorting. Rather, it is unit price column that is now sorted from the most expensive product to the least expensive product in the company. So let's move to the next question. Show all unique countries that appear in the customer table. So this is all EDA kind of exploratory data analysis where you just want to see everything here. And for this question, we are looking into the customers table. So let's do a deep dive to see everything in the customers table. So in the customers table, we have 91 customers as well. We have a column for country over here, and we want to see only the names of the countries that appear. Alright, so if you see here, we have Germany, we have Mexico appearing twice. So we don't want to count Mexico twice, we only want to count Mexico once. So for you to find unique list, you will use the keyword distinct, and we want to see the country, so we use the column country. So this is going to show us all the list of countries that appear only once. Alright, and if we highlight that code, these are the list of countries that appear once. The duplicate has been removed. There are 21 countries. If I take out the distinct, for example, and retrieve only the country column from this customers table, we have 91 customers. So if I execute the query, I will also have 91 rows because there are 91 rows with 91 customers in this table. But if you want to see only the distinct country, you use this keyword distinct, and that's going to give us 21 rows. So there are 21 countries in this database. The last question in this EDA is to write a query that counts the total number of orders in the orders table. Okay, so this is the last table we're going to do our deep dive on. So we want to go into the orders table. So select a asterisk from orders. This orders table is the facts table. Okay, so what is a fact table? This is a table that stores transaction events. Transaction events. It stores what happened. You can see over here, this is tracking when customers place an order, the date they place the order, the date it was shipped. Okay, so every row is a transaction. Every row is a transaction, and a transaction is an order that was placed by the client. So take a look at order ID 10302. The customer ID is SUPRD. The company that shipped that order is Supremes Delices. This is the ship address. The ship city is Charleroi. There is a null ship region, meaning there is no ship region available for the record, and this is the postal code. So the answer to this question is to count how many rows appear in this table, because a row is an order. So to you to count the number of rows, you use the function count enveloped with the asterisk enveloped in the count function. Select count. This star means everything. So if you count the number of rows in this table, we have 830. So there are 830. Before I let you go, you can see this new no column name. We can give this column a name, and by using the keyword as, and we type the name number of orders. If we run just this code, we get our title number of orders. If you want to separate the name of your column, you have to put that in square brackets. Okay, and when you run that, you can now have your title number of orders. So basic querying of a database using the select statement, and using also the asterisk, using the where clause, using the order by clause, and knowing how to count and also finding distinct values. We then move into the next topic, which is joins. Here we want to connect one table from to another table. The question here is to write a query to display each order's order ID alongside the customer's company name. To take a look at this question on a deep dive, we need to find the customer's company name and as well the order ID. This information sits in two different tables. We need to combine them. We need to combine the order table alongside the company table together. Before you can combine the two tables, you need to identify a column that exists in both tables. So let's do a check. If we open the orders table and open the column as well, you will see there is a column here called customer ID, and it's a foreign key, FK. So customer ID exists in the orders table. If we also expand the customers table, and you see we have a customer ID as well here, and here it is a primary key. So this column name is identical in both tables, and it is this column name that we will use to join both tables. So I will begin to write my query. And when it comes to joins, there are four types of joins. There is the left join, the right join, the inner join, and the full join. And for the case of this question, I'm going to write an inner join because the question is asking me to display each order ID alongside a company name. So an inner join will find matching rows in both tables. There is a detailed video on inner joins. Just go into the resource folder and check that detailed video on inner join. So for this, we want to use select asterisk from the orders table. Okay, so if I just run this query for you to see, this is a table that you are familiar with. Next, I want to join it with the customer table. Inner join customers. Okay, now we need to join them on the existing column name on customers dot customer ID equal to orders dot customer ID. All right, so this is where we've done the join. So on the customers table, the customer ID column is equal to the orders table, the customer ID column. If I run this query for you here, we are going to see a very wide table. So this is the orders table on one side, and the orders table, the last column is called the ship country. Look at now the customer table joined together with that, and this is all the customers table. So when you pull two tables together side by side, you can decide to now take a column from the customers table that you need for your answer, and also a column from the orders table that you need for your answer. And that's the question that we have here: to display each order's order ID that sits in the order table, and as well the customer company name that sits in the customers table. So you can indent. We need the orders dot order ID column, comma, and we also need the customers table dot the company name column. And when you run this query, you have the order ID and the company name. Very, very interesting. The next question is to list every product name and its category name by joining products to category. Okay, a similar approach as well. So we have to look into the products table and check. So if we look into the products table, we have the product ID, we have the category ID, which is a foreign key. Remember, the question is joining the products to categories. So let's look for the categories table as well and expand the columns and check. Okay, we have the category ID. So we will match it on category ID on both tables. So we will use a select asterisk from the products table. We want to list every item and its correct and its category name. So that's a match. We want to find every product and as well its category name. So that's an inner join. Inner join categories on categories dot category ID equal to products dot category ID. It must be a matching column. Okay, now this time around we want to find the product name that sits in the products table. So products table dot product name, comma, and the category sits in the category table. So category table categories dot category name. So we run this query and you find the product sitting in the products table and the category name sitting in the categories table. Let's move into the next question here, which is show each order's order ID. This is the orders table, the customer's company name, customer table, and the employee's last name in the employees table. So we are joining three tables now together. So one, I know that I have done the orders table and the customers table together. I now need to join to the employees table. So for that employees table, I need to find what is the column name that exists in the employees table that is also in the either customers or order ID. All right, so if I expand the tables and I look at the employees table, so the employees ID is the primary key. So let me check now in the orders table if there is an employee ID column. Okay, so you can see in the orders table there is an employee ID. So I will join the orders table using the employees ID to the employees table using the employees ID. Okay, so let's begin. I know we've done these orders to company name over here, orders to company name. So I will just copy this query as well. So then I come forward because we want to show for each order, we want to see the company name and the last name. So it's also an inner join because we want to find matching rows, matching condition. So we do the inner join orders, inner join employees table, employees on employees dot employee ID is equal to the orders table dot the employee ID. Okay, so that's the join. You can see now that we are joining this table together because they have the same column. And the last question is saying the employee's last name. So in the employees table, I want you to give me the last name in the employees table. So when we run this query, we will see the order ID, the customer's company name, and the last name of the employee. So we can also name our column to make sense. This employee's last name here, because last name does not specify if it's the customers or the company. So we can give it a nickname as employee last name, and this will be, remember I'm putting it before the comma, right, as company name. So this will give a difference between both columns, right? That makes sense. So the next question in the join is to list all customers and their orders, including customers who have never placed an order. Okay, so this is an interesting one. We will want to fetch all of the customers and their orders, including customers who have never placed an order. So this is not an inner join, because we have we want to fetch those that have not placed an order. So this is a left join, right? So this is a left join because when you have a left join, you will also pull, you also see records for those that do not match your criteria. Because when you do a left join will return all the rows from the left table, which is the customers, and customers with no orders will get a null for the customer ID. So let's do the join for you to see how it appears. So we're going to see everything from the customers table, and I want to begin writing giving my table nickname, also known as aliases, so that I don't have to type the name of the table in full. So letter C will represent the customers table. So let me just teach you good practice. Let me put an as so it makes sense. So remember, this is the customers table and this is going to sit on the left side. Then I will do a left join. So everything on the customers table here will be on the left side. So any other column I join now will be on this right side, will continue to being wide. So left join orders table as O. And what is the column that exists in both table? On. Customers table, I've replaced the whole customers with C. Customers table dot customer ID is equal to the orders table, which I have abbreviated with an O, dot customer ID. Okay, so we have done the join, but now we're doing a left join. So we're going to see customers who have not placed an order. So this is the customers table here, and if we go up to the way to the right, you will see the orders table. Okay, the order ID here. So if we then pick some records, you should be able to see if the data exists. Okay, you should be able to see if there are customers who have never placed an order. So for us, we will use the customers table abbreviated as a C, and the company name, and the orders table dot order ID. I'm just changing the positioning of the table to begin from the order ID and the customers table. So you see, the question is for us to list all the customers and their orders, even those that have never placed an order. So we will check if there is an order ID that is a null. So you can see this company here is null. So this company has never placed an order. That is why it is a null, because the customer ID does not exist in the orders table. That's what you get when you do a left join. If we did an inner join, we are not going to get this customer ID, because we are saying in the inner join that there must be a connection. There must be matching rows. It's like you want to get identical order IDs in both tables. But when you do a left join, you don't care for identical or matching rows. You just want to get customers that exist in one table, and if it doesn't appear in the other table, it will appear as a null. Don't get confused, overwhelmed. I hope you understand that. Just refer back to the detailed video on my joints where I use pictures to show you the difference between those tables, between those joints. So the last question on the joints is to show product names. So this is the product table, order IDs, this is the order table, and quantities by joining the order details to product. So we have the there's a table called order details to the product table. So we're going to check the order details table first of all. So let's check the order details table. Select star from order details. So you dive into this table to see everything in this table. All right, so this table is a helper table because we have the order ID and we also have the product ID. And for this order here, we can see the unit price for the product that was bought is $14, 12 in quantity and no discount. For this product row 7, order ID 10 to 50, product ID is 51, unit price $42, 35 units were bought, 15% discount. So now we want to expand to see the product name. We have the product ID, we want to see the product name and the order ID and the quantity as well. So we need the quantity. So let's do that. I will abbreviate the orders details as OD. And now I want to see the product name and the order ID. So you can see now I want to see what happens in this table and also what happens in this table as well. So that's an inner join. Inner join products. I'll abbreviate that as P on in the order details table dot product ID equal to the products table abbreviated with a P dot product ID. All right, so I will replace my asterisk now. In the order details table, I want to see the order ID, comma, and in the products table abbreviated with a P, I want to see the product name, and as well in the products in the order details table, I want to see the quantity. So that's your joining two tables. Now when we execute that, we can now see the information. So this product ID that was a number, we've replaced that with the product name and we can now see the quantity. So this report now makes sense. Okay, this report now makes sense. And let me point something out here for you to see that in this order details table, you can see we have an order ID 10248 appearing 3 times. This is not a duplicate per se because one order ID 10248, 3 products were bought from this company on one order. The next order 10249, 2 different products were bought on one order. So imagine you go into Costco, you go on a particular day to order a product. You bought a television, you bought an extension box, you bought a charger, you bought multiple products. All of those products you bought was or will be tied or linked to a single order. So that's what is happening in this order details table. And that brings us to the end of joints. You've understood how to identify matching columns in different tables to carry out your joins. You also know that inner joins is used to find matching rows or condition in both tables. You've gotten familiar as well with the use of aliases to abbreviate your table names. And we now step further into um, filtering our data for your analysis, where you no longer want to see all the rows but the specific rows that apply to your needs. And here we are going to be using the where clause. All right, we'll be using the where clause in a variety of instances. So the first question here is for you to retrieve all customers who are based in Germany. So if we want to do a dive into the customers table, okay, if we do a dive into the customers table, and by the way, the shortcut key to execute your query is to press the F5 key on your keyboard if you don't want to go all the way to execute here. So in the customers table, we have a country column. We only want to filter to see only Germany. So next you use your where clause, and the column is called country. You type in country, you press equal to Germany. Now when you are typing text in SSMS SQL, so that SSMS is SQL Server Management Studio, you want to put text in single quotes. So that's going to be Germany, beginning with a single quote and ending with a single quote. And when we run this query, we will only see companies, customers who are based in Germany. All right, so imagine the criteria is an equal to, so it will check and ensure that this is satisfied and the result is shown in the select clause. The next question in the filtering is to find all products with a unit price greater than 50. So you can see how I am writing in lowercase and uppercase, just so that for you to know that it's case insensitive. Let's do a dive into the products table first, and then we see that we have a column called unit price, but we want to see only unit price that is greater than 50. So you use the where clause, unit price greater than 50. 50 is an integer, a number. You don't need to put that in single quotes. And you are smart enough, you can now know that there are other operators like less than, greater than, not equal to in that order. So if you know greater than, you can know if you want to see greater than or equal to, this is how you write it. If you want to see less than or equal to, this is how you write it. If you want to see not equal to, this is how you write it. Okay, you can either write it, you can write not equal to like this, or you can write not equal to like this. Okay, so either of the conditions, you've seen all the five or six conditions I've showed you now. So the question is unit price greater than 50. So if we just put this as all the products with a unit price greater than 50, do you see all of them? If the question is greater than or equal to 50, so meaning 50 will be included in the filtering, we'd have all the products. If you're looking for not equal to 50, so not equal to 50, you'll see all the product with unit price not equal to 50. So let's see how you can filter with date. We want to see all orders placed between 1st of January 1997 and 31st of December 1997. So let's go into the orders table to do a dive. Okay, we go into the orders table, and we have an order date. We want to see orders placed between 1st of January 97 and 31st December 97. So we will use the where the column is the order date, where order date is between, right? Because we have a range now in our question, is between, and when you are putting date, you also put it in single quotes. You begin with the year first, 1997, then you go further into the month, December, then you put an hyphen to separate and put a date. All right, so January, I beg your pardon, between 1997 January 1st, and you also repeat for the other end of your year, 1997 December 31st. This is how you write your dates in SQL. And when we run this code, you will see that all the other dates begin from 1st of January or 1st of January 97 up until the end. Everything is only 1997. The next question is where we want to see all the customers located in France, Germany, or the UK. It is similar to this question where we want to see all the customers. So let me copy this code and paste it here. I'm going to run it through again so you can see the customers table. So you have a column now here where you want to see customers who are based in France, Germany, or the UK. So when you have, please pay close attention here. When you have multiple criteria on a single column, you put them in, you write them like this, where country in, right? Because we have Germany, France, and Mexico. These are all um, items or data that is in a single column. So you put them in a bracket, you name them France, you name them Germany, and then you name them UK. So where the country is in either one of these conditions, I forgot to put a closing quote here. Where the country is in France, if the customer is from France, include that. If the customer is from Germany, include that. If the customer is from UK, include that. Right? And when you execute that, you will see all the customer. If you want to write it this way, where you want to say where country is equal to France and country is equal to Germany, this is wrong. This is not going to work. And country is equal to UK, right? COU. If you run your query like this, you are not going to get any results. That is because a customer can only be from one country at a time. A customer cannot be from France and the same customer come originate from Germany and the same customer originate from UK. You cannot have multiple countries. The data does not have a customer appear in 3 different countries. So this is not the correct way to write when you are filtering with multiple conditions on a column. So the last one here, we want to find all products whose name contains the word chef. So when we dive into the products table, we then use if I dive into the products table, we have the product's name here. So if you're looking for names that contain alphabets, or anything, we use the where clause, where the product name, this is where we use the word like. So if the product name is like chef, CHEF, we put it in quotes. Now the trick that will help you to do to find any name that contains the word chef either before or after is to use the percentage. So percentage is a wildcard that will find any text that begins with any text but has a chef at the inside the text before or after. So you use the percentage symbol and you use the like, right? You use the like, and when you execute that, you have two products. Well done. That's about 40 minutes of getting familiar with this database, writing SQL statements, understanding how to filter, how to join, and how to extract data. Well done, practice, and I will see you in the next tutorial.